Hi there. It's the 13th of November 2024. The COP29 United Nations Conference on the Climate. Zimbabwe is represented by Emerson Mnangagwa, the president, and a delegation of 238 members. 238, that's the number. Nobody disputes that Zimbabwe should have sent a delegation to COP29. It's just that the number 238 is far, far way too bigger for a country the size of Zimbabwe. Take this for instance, South Africa, with an economy 14 times bigger than Zimbabwe, that is $500 billion US. That's the size of the South African economy. And they just sent 51 delegates. And the delegation is not even headed by Ramaphosa, the head of state, or his deputy. It's the Minister of Environment, someone named Dion George. And that's what the South Africans consider to be appropriate to an event of this magnitude. And Zimbabwe has decided that it needs a whopping 238 members, 238. And if you take, say, for instance, if you ask me, how did these people get to Baku in Azerbaijan, where the meeting is taking place? 238. You need a big commercial jetliner to pack all these people into that plane. And who is paying for the cost of ferrying all these people all the way to Baku? And get this, these people, the 238, they are getting an allowance of $1,100 US per day. And for the 5 days, that is the duration of the conference, from Monday the 10th to Friday the 10th, they are getting, each of these people, they are getting $1,100 per day. And by the end of those 5 days, it's expected that Zimbabwe, that is the taxpayer, that is, would have paid something like 1.3 million US just on allowances only. And what do they do with these allowances? Just get this. Teachers, they are paid something like not more than $250 US per month. And then we get someone just for attending. And most of these people, they are going to get into those meetings. They don't even have a notepad. They are not taking any notes. And all they're doing is like probably snoozing or just listening inattentively. And they are not going to get anything out of that. And countries like South Africa, they've got a delegation, 51 people, and they have got a delegation composed of experts, and they are actually negotiating with countries like Finland on how to transition their economy from a carbon-based economy. That is, it's mostly to do with generating electricity anyway, as far as I can tell, and it's about using coal-based means of generating electricity to things like solar power. And this, and then for ZANU-PF and Emerson Mnangagwa, this is not actually in the interest of the country at all, because what it is that events like COP29 it just presents opportunities for the Emerson Mnangagwa to loot state coffers by actually rewarding his army of praise singers, Varakashi. Hapana zviripo apa kupa mari kuarakashi chete. And all we see is that what they are doing is $1,100 US a day. And if you go on Twitter, all they are saying is that like Emerson Mnangagwa is going there as a head of SADC chairman. No, there is nothing like that, like negotiating on behalf of SADC. He does not actually have a remit to negotiate. All he is doing is actually standing in for Zimbabwe, negotiating with other countries and doing bilateral countries. And what Emerson Mnangagwa has simply done is actually he made a speech, and in that speech he gave he talked of Zimbabwe shifting to renewable energy. And for most of us, we have an experience where ZANU-PF and Emerson Mnangagwa and his government, they have used these projects to enrich their people like Wicknell Chilayo. And for Emerson Mnangagwa and his inner circle, talking of renewable energy and all these are all opportunities for them to enrich themselves. And then does actually Zimbabwe, does it actually need such a bloated delegation? Is this not the responsibility of the Minister of the Environment? But then Emerson Mnangagwa, he has picked most of his cabinet ministers, not necessarily that they are the best for the job. They are just there because he has to reward his allies, those within his inner circle. And when it comes to actually to representing Zimbabwe at events like COP29, then you see Emerson Mnangagwa has to head out himself. Why does he need to do that? Does he actually need to make sure that Zimbabwe has to, is there no one else who can actually negotiate on behalf of Zimbabwe? Does it have to be Emerson Mnangagwa himself? Take, for instance, Botswana. Botswana has sent just 39 delegates. And Botswana has got about just not more than 2.5 million people, and it has a much bigger economy if you take its population and the resources that are available to its people. And Zimbabwe cannot afford all these things. And then Emerson Mnangagwa has gone to Baku. He rented a private chartered jet, a Boeing 737 BBJ, those luxurious jets, and it's chartered from Royal Jet Services in Dubai, and it costs 12,700 per hour. And the trip from Harare to Baku is an 18-hour round trip, and it costs we expect the taxpayers to pay nearly 200,000 just for the chartering that jet, and those and this is the level, the extravagance, the level of waste, extravagance. They are not worried. Emerson Mnangagwa is not worried about whether what Zimbabwe is going to get out of that meeting is proportionate to the money that's being spent. This is just himself and his delegation. They are enjoying the trappings of power. And for the whole conference from Monday to Friday, it's expected that the taxpayers, the Zimbabwean taxpayer, will end up paying nearly $3 million. And get this, Zimbabwe is not a very rich country. That is by African standards. It's actually one of the poorest, up there with countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Malawi, and we are in the midst of a drought, and that people in the rural areas, they need food aid. And $3 million is a lot of money. It could have fed a lot of people in the rural areas. But then, that's where the government's priorities lie. And we are left with the humiliating spectacle of Rwanda donating 100,000 tons of maize meal to people in the rural areas. And then the government itself is blowing 3 million to on a trip to Baku. I'm not saying that Zimbabwe should not attend, but the delegation and the amounts spent, they should actually reflect what the taxpayer is going to get out of that event, out of the whole conference. So it's not just even then, if you look at it, it's not just Emerson Mnangagwa who is using these private jets. Even his sons, take David Mnangagwa, for instance. He was in Russia for the past few days, and he used a private jet. And then we have Owen Ngube, Owen, the minister for the Midlands province, he went to China on some conference, and you wonder, someone who is a minister for who is responsible for a province, what does he do? What is he going to do in China? And most of these, they are simply excuses to blow taxpayers' money on useless trips, And even if you were to take David Mnangagwa is only a junior minister. So why would a junior minister have the authority to negotiate deals, or if at all he was negotiating any sort of deal at all, it might just have been he went shopping there and he met some Russian ministers, that sort of thing. Yeah, well, so that's it about Emerson Mnangagwa and the extravagance, the gravy train they are using to blow taxpayers' money in Zimbabwe. Thank you for tuning in, and please share and subscribe. And before I go, please tell me what you think, whether you think Emerson Mnangagwa should be attending every event that Zimbabwe is invited. Should he send someone junior with a smaller delegation? Tell us what you think by dropping comments in the box below. Thank you. Siyabonga. Bye.